Good morning, St. John's. It's good to see everybody this morning, and to all of you who are worshiping with us online, we see you and we love you too. So several years ago, I heard an Episcopal priest named Becca Stevens, whom I think has been here at St. John's before my time as well, so some of you may recall Becca. I heard her talk about what it's like to raise children, to raise them and to watch them and to learn them and to know them. As many of you know from firsthand experience, bringing a child into the world means welcoming a stranger, because you never know who this child is going to be, what they're going to look like, what they're going to act like, where they're going to go, who they're going to be. And so when we do bring a child into this world, most of us cannot help sometimes but to just stand there in wonder and fear and mystery and awe as we begin to learn who they are, and they learn who they are as well. And it was exactly that kind of wonder that I heard in Becca's voice as she talked about her children. She said, "I remember after my children's births, learning the details of each child as I held them and watched them sleep and eat and play." She says, "I knew all the patterns of their freckles, the sweet baby fuzz on each earlobe, the birthmark on the inside of a thumb, and the arc of the left eyebrow. When it came to my children," she says, "I knew every curve, every dimple, every detail. This," she said, "must be what adoration is like. Part of how we show adoration and love is to sit in silence and learn the details." Adoration. When was the last time you actually sat down and took a breath and thought about what it means to adore someone or something? When was the last time you allowed yourself to sit and to adore God? Not talk to God, not bargain with God, not petition God, not get something out of God, but just simply to adore God. When was the last time that you, like Becca with her newborn children, actually held God and sought to learn every curve, every dimple, every detail of who God is? To me, in a lot of ways, adoration is the hardest form of prayer. It's not like the others. The others are easy. Confession, thanksgiving, intercession, petition. We all got something to confess. Come on, we've all met each other, right? We all have something to be thankful for. We all have something for which we need to ask prayers on our behalf or on the behalf of someone else. All of those come pretty naturally, and they can be done in a variety of styles and approaches. But Lord, adoration, y'all, that is the hardest kind of prayer, I think, because to our Western American goal-oriented minds and our, let's face it, very often self-centered hearts, adoration just seems like a waste of time, a waste of energy, a waste of resources. You telling me I'm just supposed to sit there and adore God simply for the sake of it? But when that is our mentality, we're missing the whole point. In today's gospel lesson, Judas absolutely misses the whole point, for adoration is exactly what Mary is about in this story. In the last week of Jesus' life, they're all sitting in Lazarus' house when Mary breaks open this jar of oily perfume and anoints Jesus' feet using her own hair as a washcloth. And whenever I encounter this story, I can't help but to think of Becca, because just as Becca sat close to her children in their earliest days and learned every curve and ripple of their tender flesh, Mary was doing the same thing with Jesus. She sat close to her Lord in his final days and touched the curves and ripples of his feet and learned the details of her Lord and friend, Jesus of Nazareth. This, y'all, this was adoration and wastefulness in its purest form. And what a wonderful waste it was. If you've never smelled nard, the perfume that she used, and it says it was 100% nard. Let me tell y'all about 100% nard. Has anybody ever smelled 100% nard? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. So at my last church, I used to have a teensy-weensy little bottle of it. It was in the sacristy. It was left there by the previous priest. And one time I thought, oh, this is the stuff that Mary used with Jesus. And I popped it open, took a whiff. Oh, Lord. Y'all, I tried to purchase some in preparation for today so that you could smell what it smells like. But Amazon and everybody else, they don't sell it as pure nard. They cut it with something, which makes sense because it is so potent. What I used to do at my last church on this day is I'd put a tiny little dot of it on an index card and then let you pass it around. And by the end, the whole room smelled like it with that tiny little dot. It smells something like gardenias or Easter lilies, but on absolute steroids. It's so strong that it can be obnoxious and or noxious if you get too much of a whiff. So Mary breaks open an entire pound of this stuff in that little house that had to be smaller than this room here. And so you can understand why Judas is a little grumpy. It would have been really strong. And yet Judas has other reasons why he's grumpy too. During all of this, Judas interrupts and says that the perfume in Mary's hands could have been sold for 300 denarii, which amounts to something like $6,000, which back in those days would have been about 9 months' wages. Judas sees this wastefulness and he tries to stop her, but Jesus says, no. He says, brother, you're always going to have the poor with you, but you do not always have me. In other words, there are always 1,000 reasons not to waste your resources, not to waste your energy, not to waste your time. But when it comes to loving the living God, maybe a good waste of time is exactly what you need. One of my best friends, Jeff, is also a priest, and years ago he told me about making a hospital visit to one of his parishioners. And he went into the ICU and found that his parishioner was fast asleep. And I'll be honest with you, for us clergy, we don't always know exactly what to do in those moments when we come see you and you're asleep. We want you to know that we were there. And so maybe if we have a business card, we'll lay it on the table. We'll pray for you. Just know that if we come to see you, your clergy from St. John's, we're not going to wake you up while you're sleeping in the ICU. If rest is what you need, we're going to let you rest. Well, so Jeff walked into a situation like that, and he obviously did not dare wake her since he knew she desperately needed rest. But somehow in that moment, amid her snores and all the beeps of all the machines and the sight of all the tubes, he realized how badly he needed some rest too. And so what did he do? Well, he sat down and he prayed right there in her room. 45 minutes. He sat there in God's presence with her, sometimes praying for her, his parishioner, sometimes praying for others, but mostly just sitting there and taking the opportunity next to her to just love God with her. He and I both agreed that while plenty of people would say that that was a waste of time, that he should have gone on from there and worked more and done more and accomplished more that day, what he did was probably the most important thing in that moment that he did all week. Y'all, embedded in this story is an invitation to you, one that comes just at the right time as we get ready to prepare for Holy Week. Next Sunday, a week from today, is Palm Sunday, the day that marks the beginning of the holiest week of the year. And if you skip straight to Easter, you're missing it. You're missing it. Here at St. John's, we'll have our big old Palm Sunday service. We will have services all the way through Easter. Next week, we'll start out on Call Street, which will be blocked off. And like the people of Jerusalem, we'll wave our palms and sing our songs and make our grand procession into this place right alongside Jesus as he does that in Jerusalem. And then there's the pivotal and dramatic Maundy Thursday service right here Thursday evening in this sanctuary. And if you've never been to Maundy Thursday, this is your year. Y'all, what happens in this place on that night, you've heard me say it before, I believe that time somehow bends in on itself that night. And what we do here in this place is somehow holding hands with what Jesus did in that place all those years ago. We're with him and he's with us, and it's all of a piece. And then there's Good Friday with our solemn service at midday, and then Stations of the Cross, and then, of course, the service to end all services, the Queen of Seasons, the crown of our earthly worship, the jewel of the year, the earthquake of the resurrection, our Great Vigil of Easter right here at 6:30 on Saturday night. It is absolutely the best thing that happens here all year. If you have not come, put your clothes on and come out on Saturday night. You won't have anything else to do. Come on out to the Great Vigil of Easter. All of this is in the Lenten Guide, which you can pick up as you leave the service today, and you can make your plans for next week. It's a full week. It's a quiet week. And to many looking in from the outside, they would say that it is a wasteful week, because it is a week in which the whole point is just to set aside everything else and adore God. So just like Becca with her newborn children, just like Jeff with his parishioner in the ICU, just like Mary at her master's feet, y'all, this is your chance. This is your time to come and sit and learn every freckle, every curve, every dimple, every detail of the God who made you and who loves you more than you can imagine. So, use this week to make your plans and prepare. And beginning next week on Palm Sunday, y'all come on and let's waste our time. Amen.